Okay, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our press conference for the summit. It's really a pleasure to have everyone here. My name is Obina. I'll be your host for this event. I'll just go through a few rules before we begin. In the meantime, it would really be a pleasure to know where you're coming from, where you're joining us from. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box by name, country, really any detail you would like us to know. Yeah. Okay, so just a few ground rules. It's nothing unusual. It's a Zoom meeting, so please use the raise hand function if you would like to speak. Allow someone to finish speaking before you unmute yourself. And normally one person should speak at a time so we don't miss anything or get things jumbled up. And before you ask any question, please, you could also state your name and any affiliation you have, media or otherwise, if you have any. Um, so please let's try to be courteous when we speak, and I think we should have a good time. So without further ado, I think we'll get started. Um, so with me, we have members of the organizing committee for the summit here. We have, I think we'll begin with an address or an introduction from the lead organizer, Dr. Gladys Ibrahim. Gladys, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Obina, and thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Good afternoon from Nigeria. I'm happy to see members of the organizing committee as well as our attendees. I can see people from Ghana, Egypt, Nigeria. So happy to connect with you all this afternoon. So I'm not going to take into much of your time, and I'm going to be out of your hair in a few minutes, but I'll just be starting by introducing everyone to the organization. That is the Consortium of Genomics Students and Young Researchers in Africa. And I'll also just be telling us a little bit about why the organization exists, and then why we are organizing this conference or this summit. So so to start with, who exactly are we? What and why do we exist? So CoGSAYR is essentially, in summary, next generation genomic scientists and clinicians. And what is this organization for? It's a dynamic youth-led collaborative platform which is dedicated to advancing genomics research, education, and innovation across the African continent. So why does this organization exist? So I'll start or I'll explain or give a bit of a background about why this organization exists and why it's particularly important for us to exist. So currently it's projected that Africa is going to contribute to more than half of the world's population by 2050. So essentially by 2050, half of the people that will exist in this world will be Africans. While that is interesting and well, maybe I'll say exciting. If we look at our representation in global genetic databases, so essentially, if we look at all the databases that exist, all the places where people's genetic profiles and genomic profiles have been banked, we will observe that, or it has been observed that Africans actually make up one of the least parts of those population data or those genetic data. So specifically, if we look at the GWAS diversity monitoring data, we can see that Africans actually made up about 1.1% in 2021 and then 0.16% in 2024. That is alarming and that is scary. And why exactly should we even be bothered about whether or not we are represented in these global genetic databases? That is because this research, this data is actually what is used to design medications, to design drugs, and increasingly we are seeing a lot of talks about precision health and precision medicine, essentially designing medications to fit and suit people's genetic profiles. So what this means is that the more we go into all of these things, the more we talk about these things, precision medicine, and we talk about all of these things, they are being designed in a way that Africans are not represented. They don't have us in mind. And I'm sure a lot of us have encountered or know that, people who use medications, even down to the ones that we already use currently, it seems like we do not respond as well as we should to a lot of medications. Now, there are a number of reasons why we had that. There are a number of things that could explain why that happens. But one of the things is that our data is not represented in essentially the things that are used to validate these medications. So now you can imagine our population is expanding, and if as we speak we have this large or this gross underrepresentation in global genetic databases, one would be left to imagine what will happen when as this population expansion increases. So essentially, medications, diagnostics, precision health tools increasingly depend on genomic evidence that does not reflect African populations. So yeah. So without the deliberate investment in genomic research capacity, we are at the risk of deepening inequities in health outcomes and perpetuating dependence on foreign innovations. And there are more dire situations that await us if we do not take action. So now, what is the vision for CoGSAYR? We envision a future where collaborative innovation and scientific excellence drive advancements in genomics, fostering sustainable solutions to address regional health challenges and propel Africa to the forefront of genomic research globally. Now, I know that is a mouthful, but essentially what we are trying to do is we're trying to create a collaborative platform where young people can come together to learn about genomics, because as much as we talk about these gaps that exist, the capacity to actually carry out this research, actually do things that will close that gap, does not exist or is very, very low. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a collaborative platform where young people can come together to learn about genomics, get the knowledge that they need, and then we then see how these young people use this knowledge to actually innovate and propel Africa to the forefront of genomic research globally. Our mission is to provide a platform where aspiring scientists can thrive, exchange knowledge, and contribute to the advancement of genomics for the betterment of Africa and global community. So what exactly are our objectives? If you remember, our name says Consortium of Genomic Students and Young Researchers in Africa. So of course, this is just us trying to pick one of the things that is perpetuating these problems, which is workforce capacity, lack of workforce capacity, and try to solve that. And our target audience is students and young researchers. So young researchers can be defined in different ways, but we need to define young researchers as early graduates. So essentially, we want to see people who are in this category of people actually learn and build capacity in the field of genomics. And that's important for us because we know generally young people have the ideas, we have bright ideas, we're able to innovate whatever we have. So we think that if we actually equip young people with this knowledge that they need, they are able to come up with like innovations, diagnostics, and all of these different things that genomics is being used for, if they have that knowledge. So one, we inspire interest. There's a number of people who just hear of genomics. I fall into this category. I'll just hear genomics. What exactly is this thing? The more I learned about it, the more my interest and my curiosity for it deepened. So that is why we actually are at the forefront of conversations around genomics research in young people. And we believe that the more information you provide, the more knowledge they gain, the more their interest is deepened. So first we spark the curiosity, and then this curiosity is deepened when you are exposed to more and more information and knowledge about it. And then secondly, we build capacity. So it's not just to spark curiosity and interest. We are creating opportunities and platforms where these young people can actually build capacity, where their knowledge about genomics improves and increases. And then as a result, our members and these people that are within our community can be able to collaborate, to come up with research projects, come up with ideas, different things that they can do with this information. And then of course, information sharing and accessibility. So we understand that there's not a lot of specific genomics education within our curricula, whether medicine, biochemistry, all the different courses that fall under the life sciences. So we're trying to make this information available to people, so they can available and accessible to people so they can use it. So now the CoGSAYR Africa Summit, which is why we are here. What exactly is this summit and why are we organizing it? This summit is positioned to be the largest gathering of genomic students and early career researchers in Africa. So essentially, we are the first organization like this that exists. And there's a lot of things that currently exist in Africa that's coming up just to improve people's knowledge of genomics and bioinformatics, but we do not particularly have anyone that is directed at specifically at one, young people, and two, young people who might not have the knowledge but are interested in it and want to grow in that knowledge. So what this gives us is that when we're able to bring all of these people together, that is what we can what we can say will be the largest gathering of genomic students and early career researchers in Africa. That's essentially what we're doing. We've been having all of these activities that we've been doing over the last year in our existence, and we're trying to bring all of these people in one room to actually have conversations that matter. And this conference is largely funded by ISCB and ABI. ISCB is the International Society for Computational Biology, and ABI is the African Bioinformatics Institute. So these are some international and cross-continental organizations that are heavy in genomics and bioinformatics capacity building and have supported us in our work. And the aim of this conference really is tied to what CoGSAYR is about and what it stands for, which is to inspire interest, foster collaboration, capacity building for young African genomics researchers. And what we envision is that this summit is going to be the world-renowned platform for connecting with young genomic scientists. So essentially, people who are looking for maybe skills, people who are trying to connect with young genomic scientists in Africa, they think that, okay, this is the place to find them when they want to connect with people who are interested in genomics, young people who want to innovate with genomics. They think of the CoGSAYR Africa Summit and they want to be there because that is where to find them. So the theme for the conference is advancing innovation in genomics and bioinformatics in Africa for students and early career researchers. And we'll be addressing quite a number of sub-themes. Of course, at the core of it is workforce development, which is what we stand for. And then we'll be having other conversations on things such as public health translation of genomics insights, data sharing, the ethical, legal, and social implications of genetic research in Africa, funding models, and scaling solutions for genomics research, to mention a few. And we have quite a number of speakers which we have been unveiling. If you have followed us on our socials, I'm sure you must have seen some of these people. We have quite a number of exciting speakers. If you're thinking of the who is who in genomics research in Africa, I'm sure, or if you know of the who's who in genomics research in Africa, I'm sure you'll be able to identify some of these names. And these are some of the people that we're expecting at this conference. Professor Christian Happy of the Institute of Genomics and Global Health in Ede. And we have Professor Nicola Mulder, who is the head of the African Bioinformatics Institute, and also the head of Computational Biology Division at the University of Cape Town. We have Professor Segun Fatumo, who is a leading voice in Africa when we talk about African genetic diversity. And we're thinking of people like Professor Solomon and Professor Fatumo, Professor Rotimi, who is also a leading voice when it comes to cancer genomics. Professor Folarin, Professor Rufus Akinyemi, who does a lot of work in the field of neurology, and others. Actually, of course, we can't put all of the names here, but these are some of our speakers. And the conference is going to be holding in Lagos, specifically at the LASU College of Medicine at Ikeja, and it's going to be taking place from January 29th to 31st. So thank you so much. I'll hand over to Obina to take it up from here.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Gladys. I think that gives a very good idea what to expect. So I think we'll get to the questions immediately. We'll begin with programs. So one of the major questions that has come up is what the program of events is like. So besides the panels and the speeches, what other things are planned for the summit? Ridwan, would you be taking that?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this discussion. So for the conference, we'll have, as Gladys mentioned, the conference will run for 3 days. On the first, so generally, we'll have keynote addresses, we'll have panel discussions, we'll have some spotlight talks on different topics like neurogenomics, cancer genomics, We'll have some discussions on some of the ongoing genomic projects in Africa. We'll also have presentations. We'll have abstract presentations, oral abstract presentations. We'll also have some workshops. We plan to have about 5 of them, and participation in those workshops would be based on interest and some prerequisites, which will generally be at the discretion of the attendees. The workshops will be on the third day, and we'll also be concluding the conference with an African gala where we showcase different African cultures, since essentially we're bringing together people from different um, African countries. So that's just the general overview of the programs. But if there are specific questions, I'll be happy to answer them. There are more specific questions, rather.
All right, thank you very much, Ridwan. I don't have any on the list anymore, but I think Olayinka Adebajo is making a comment. He's wondering if there are young researchers on the list of speakers. Are they part of the others? And if there are any notable early career researchers for an event that is focused on early career researchers?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mention that there's one of the programs we'll be having will be a career documentary that focuses on genomic researchers at different levels of their careers. We'll have people from at the MSc level, PhD students, postdocs, professors. So essentially people from across different levels that will share their journeys in genomics, their challenges, and some of their recommendations for people that are also interested in following that path. Also, we have some of the workshops will be facilitated by younger researchers. I mean, people that are grad, people that are still in grad school. Some will be facilitated by people that we can call postdocs, and people that are not too, people that are still relatively earlier in their careers. So yeah, there's going to be representation from across various levels.
All right, thank you very much. I hope that that addresses your concern, and Mr. Debajo. Okay, all right. Wonderful. So we'll move on to logistics now. One of the concerns that registered some people have raised is the issue of accommodation. So, someone was seeking a clarification whether that will be catered for by CoGSAYR or by the delegates themselves. Are there any preparations that they need to make regarding this? I don't know if Miss Nimatolahi is here. Okay. Miss Ali, would you have to take that? Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, we can. Please go ahead.
All right. So I am the logistic officer, and concerning the aspect of accommodation, yes, accommodation will be provided, but it won't be sponsored by the organization. There will be provision of different types of hotels that each delegate can afford, but it is not going to be sponsored by the organization.
All right,
I
thank
hope
you.
that's clear.
Yes, that is. And I imagine the information about this will be provided upon registering for the summit as well.
Yes, most of the emails that have been sent out, it has been sent with the email if any delegate is interested. So it has been included in the email sent to them.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Another question concerning logistics. Safety measures in place for attendees. Would you mind talking about that during the conference, from arrival to departure?
So there would just be basic safety measure that will be provided at the location. So that's just basically concerning the safety.
Okay, all right. When attendees arrive, what's the transportation like? Will they be transported for those arriving via airports, should they be transported from the airport to the hotels? And during the summit as well?
So basically about the people that will be transported from the airports to their hotels. The people that we majorly focused on right now are the speakers, some of our speakers that will be coming through the through airport. So we'll pick them from the airport station to their respective hotels that they'll be lodging in. Then also we also considering people that will be coming via train station too. So we are looking at picking them up. Then aside that, any of our delegates that is going to be using hotels that we are recommending for them, we'll be picking them up from their respective hotels down to the location that we're going to have the conference. I hope I
Okay,
was able to answer that part.
it's wonderful. Thank you very much. Then the final question I have here, will dietary accommodations be made for those with dietary restrictions? Are there any preparations for them?
So, concerning the dietary preparation, we are going to be having options of meals. So there will be options of there will be breakfast and lunch provided each day. And for breakfast, there will be like different options, like close to 4 options. So I believe if you probably have you can't take one, there should be another one that you can take among the 4 options. Same thing during the lunch period too. So basically, those are the plans provided.
Thank you very much. So, as we go on, please, if you have any question, you can say that in the chat box. Any comments or questions? All right. So, registration. Will on-site registration be allowed? That is one question that has come up.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rachel Dada and I'm External Relations Officer. Unfortunately, no, on-site registration would not be allowed. And this is because we need to be able to cater to all our attendees efficiently. And the best way to do this is to know the number of attendees we're expecting. If we allow for on-site registration, they might end up having way more people than our preparations can cover for. So no on-site.
Why is the sound? Why can't I hear anything?
All right. Thank you very much, Rachel. Additionally, is there any plan to support and fast-track visa applications for international delegates?
Yes, we do have plans to help support and fast-track visa applications. In the form, we included a section for relevant details that will need to be included in the invitation letters to the embassy. And we're also happy to help write the embassy to fast-track the process of the application and approval of their visas for international delegates. And that is already in the work.
All right. Thank you very much. And then one other question, is there any, how would you put it, any subsidy for student attendees generally?
Okay, so we do have student partners. We have student organizations as our student partners, and we're offering all the members of those organizations student discounts. So if you're a student and you feel like you do need that discount and we've not yet reached out to your organization, feel free to send us an email and we would reach out to your student organization to offer that partnership to them. So that's an option for student delegates.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so Elvis Poku Adusei, pardon me if I'm not pronouncing that right. So he has a travel grant as an oral presenter. Will his accommodation be covered as was stated in his award letter? Seeking some clarification. Ridwan, would you be able to address that? So,
Hi.
okay.
Yeah, the travel grants cover the accommodation expenses as well. but the bookings of the hotel bookings will be made from our end. So we'll send.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. I hope that clears things up, Mr. Elvis. All right. Thank you. So, concerning a question was asked whether a call for volunteers would be made for the event. I think I saw Faith here, but I think I can answer this. So yes, a call will be made later today actually for volunteers for the event. And that will be open to undergraduates and early graduates. So that will be made public, that will be publicized on our social media accounts. So you can let anyone know who is interested to keep an eye out and apply as soon as it's out, and we'll go from there. Yeah. All right. And next question, this would be for finance. All right. So, is there any updates on travel grants for attendees now? I know we have travel grants for presenters, oral presenters. Is there any chance that attendees would be open to applying for such grants as well?
The travel grants application was exclusively for people that submitted abstracts. So the one of the major criteria for eligibility for the travel grants was submission of an abstract.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so these are more general questions. So I think yes, I don't think that should be a problem. Elvis, your arrival on the 28th. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Ridwan. I don't think that should be a problem. I think the presentations. Please just go ahead, Ridwan.
Yeah, that's right. The conference starts on the 29th, so arrival on the 28th is understandable.
Okay, great. All right then. Thank you. Okay, so more general questions. I'm hoping Gladys or anyone else will be able to address these. How does one begin to get involved in genomics and bioinformatics as an African?
All
It's a
right.
bit of a very open question, but please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Binda. I'm happy to take that. So, how does one begin to get involved in genomics and bioinformatics as an African? Well, number one, plug into communities like CoGSAYR. That is one of the reasons why we exist, to bridge that gap between your interest, your budding interest, and then your involvement in it. Secondly, I think just like more personal suggestions. So while my interest in genomics was when I started developing an interest in genomics, I actually had to take a lot of do a lot of self-directed learning on my own. So I took a lot of courses. There are a number of organizations that offer free courses. Some might ask you to pay for certification. You will also find a number of free courses available online. So I think that's a good place to start. Start by taking courses, joining conversations. So a good number of genetics and genomics organizations actually host like a lot of conversations. They have webinars, meetings. In fact, my interest in genomics was my first exposure to genomics was when I joined a webinar by Professor Happy in I think it was 2020 or 2021. So when you participate in all of those conversations, your knowledge about it actually grows. And then of course you can then apply for maybe further training and learning, maybe masters or fellowships and things like that. So one, join CoGSAYR, plug into CoGSAYR. Two, take courses. There are courses, free online courses, webinars, conversations that you can join. And yeah, of course, plug into any opportunities that you see, such as like fellowships, things like that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So start somewhere, get to know more, take chances, and just see where things fall. Thank you. All right, so we have some questions for the comms team. I guess I'll just address those as the communications officer. So one was whether the summit would be live streamed, recorded, and or made available. So yes, we have virtual delegates. So the summit will be live streamed and it will also be recorded, and the sessions made available afterwards. And we're also working on having real-time updates on the summits. Of course, none of these, not the updates won't replace or rather be a substitute for the actual experience there. There's really lots that being in those rooms would do for you, right? Just being exposed to that much information, that much zeal, that much passion and drive that it's sort of like just infectious. And you leave that place driven and more willing to do more regarding genomics and bioinformatics. So yes, they will be live streamed, they will be recorded and made available afterwards. Yeah. Yes, there'll also be a post-summit report, so that would have all the abstracts presented, summaries of the summit sessions and speakers, and that'll be quite a comprehensive report to be provided after the summit. Basic almost also as a proof, right, that the summit was held and something to look back on later on. So I think I'll follow this up with another question I have here on how we intend to sustain the impact from the summits afterwards. So when we are done with the summits and we have perhaps white papers or commitments, things deriving from the summit, basically, how do we intend to sustain that impact and make sure that it translates to actually building up the capacity, the workforce capacity that we have identified is deficient? So I don't know who can take that. Gladys, would you be able to?
Okay, I'm happy to take that as well. So how will the sorry, let me say it again. How will the impact from this summit be sustained afterwards? So the summit is actually just like a physical gathering of members of our community and linking members of our community to, let's say, professionals, conversations, and also sparking important conversations regarding advancing innovation in genomics amongst young and early career researchers. But then the organization is going to continue to exist. We spent the last year building a community, which is what I call it, or how I define it. For us, the first year was to build that community for us to actually connect with people who are interested in this thing and what we are doing. But going forward, the second year and even onwards, we're trying to see actually that forms the foundation of what our activities are going to look like going forward. So of course we've learned, there's been a lot of learning and unlearning in first year, and we've kind of redefined our priorities. So of course you can't keep on saying genomics, interest in genomics, and just stop there. You need to develop the capacity. You need to actually work in the lab, or you need to actually like analyze data. Those are things that you need to do. You need to get your hands dirty. So some of the things that we're looking at going forward in our restructuring is actually connecting, first of all, creating structures where people can actually learn, like structured education, would I say opportunities for people to learn. So we're talking fellowships. We actually have a fellowship that is launching soon, which we tag the CoGSAYR Genomics for Impact Fellowship. And is a virtual fellowship anyway, but the goal of that fellowship is to see how people can to actually provide the information that people need to innovate with genomics. So we're going to be giving having a lot of case studies across various areas, infectious disease, cancer, neurology, and just various ways in which you can innovate with genomics. So that's one thing that we're going to be doing. So things like that, we're going to be creating more fellowships, more programs, and then also we're going to be keen into our international partners. So we have a lot of people who are actually interested in, would I say, developing capacity in young Africans and developing capacity in young Africans. They have the knowledge, they have the resources, they have the tools, but they don't have the community that we have. So that's something that we're going to be doing going forward. Actually positioning this community as the place to connect with young people interested in genomics research, so that when they want to invest their resources, they come to CoGSAYR, and that's what we're looking at going forward. So those are things that we're going to be rolling out. Of course, we're a new organization. There's a lot of learning that we're going to be doing, but now we are would I say, focusing more on structured training programs and training opportunities and connecting people. We have a lot of people who have actually would I say, develop interest in what we're doing and who we are. So actually taking advantage of this exposure that we've gotten, so that people can actually get the most out of CoGSAYR and also all of these opportunities that exist out there. I hope that answers that question.
Splendidly. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, you can send it in the chat box, while we just take the last few questions I have here. All right. Okay, so as an early career researcher, how do you access grants or funding? It's a very specific question. Grants or funding for cancer genomics research in Nigeria, but I'm guessing it also applies to any genomics research. So how does one access funding for research as an early career researcher? Where does one begin? Ridwan, I have a feeling this might be more up your alley.
Okay. Yeah, how to access funding for research. I'll start by saying that I acknowledge the fact that it is more difficult for younger researchers to access funding for research, especially depending on how robust the research would be. But there are specific funding opportunities for early career researchers. So there are some smaller grants that are targeted towards people that are still undergraduates, people that are in grad school, very early career researchers. So it would be nice to focus on such funding opportunities. It will be quite difficult for someone that has not won any grant, for instance, to apply for a funding of, say, let's say $50,000. That's going to be a very long shot. So there are smaller grants of say $5,000, even $500 actually. So all of those, and there are some also in Nigerian currencies, like maybe 1 million naira, even 100,000 naira. So all these smaller grants should be the main targets for very early career researchers. So when you do some of these over time and you can show the proof that you've been able to handle smaller amounts of money, then it becomes easier for you to convince funding agencies subsequently to give you bigger money, in quotes. So by joining communities, to be honest, join networking platforms, use LinkedIn. If you don't have any form of agenda against LinkedIn, you get exposed to various opportunities from those places, and then you can continue to build from there before you now access bigger funding or opportunities.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Okay, so are there any other questions, any other comments anyone wants to make? So we're 6 days away from the close of early bird registrations, by the way. So if you know anyone who might be interested in the summits, let them know. Let them know and have them get them to register. Definitely going to be a time. Yeah. So any questions, any comments from anyone before we round this up? Okay, as a last question, how can one join CoGSAYR? I skipped that. How can one join CoGSAYR? What should they look out for?
Okay, so how can you join? So currently we're not recruiting members, and by members I mean we had members that we recruited in the first year, and these were the members that participated in all of our activities. So because like I explained earlier, we're currently undergoing a restructuring process because we're trying to see how we can really serve the community. So that restructuring process is going to take a few months after the conference. Afterwards, we can then, decide on what the membership structure would look like. But what you can do definitely is follow us on all our social media pages, subscribe to our mailing list. We have a very superb mailing list. Shout out to Ubina and the rest of the comms team. So those are places that you can follow and things that you can follow to be updated on all our activities and when we're doing what I would call a formal recruiting process. But then, of course, membership or the opportunities that we are trying to design are not limited to members. So you can just definitely stay tuned, be on the lookout for whenever we post stuff, whenever we post opportunities or share opportunities, and take advantage of them.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think with that, if there are no other questions, we'll call it and bring this to a close. Okay, so if there are any career researchers interested in joining the International Stroke Genomics Consortium, do let me know. Thank you very much, Lanka Debadro. I will definitely take note of that. Thank you. All right, okay, so the summit really it's just taking what will be the first step, a big step nonetheless, but the first step in actually building a culture around Africa becoming more involved in its own health, in its own care, right? In genomics, just sort of like taking its place, if you will, in genomics and bioinformatics. So if you haven't registered, please do so. If you know anyone who might be remotely interested, send them any of our links, get them to register. And we'll see you in Lagos, hopefully, or virtually if you're joining us virtually. If you have any questions at all, any comments, any concerns, you can always reach us on via email on cogsayrafrica@gmail.com. You can also send a DM to any of our social media accounts and we'll get to it. But I think the email will be much faster, right? Great, thank you, Ridwan. So the email is on the chat box, and thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening and weekend ahead. All right.